Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bettina and I'm the makeup enthusiast. In today's video I am doing my finale on my Pan That palette series. So I have finally hit my goals that I wanted to reach on these palettes before the end of the year. So I have decided to cut this project short so I can enjoy my collection for a few weeks before we start the new projects in 2021. So if you want to see how I went on these palettes over the last, I think it's only been maybe a fortnight since I last updated this project, but I did manage to hit some goals in some products that I was getting really close to hitting pan on. So if you want to see how I went with that, then let's jump on into it right now. And we're going to start with this guy as per usual, because he hasn't had any pan, anything like that hit on him. We do have a bit of wear in the highlighter that I was focusing on, this one down here, but nothing considerable. So I am glad to be having a little break from this one for a few weeks. I might roll this back in at some point in the new year, maybe. There's a few other things that I think I want to focus on at the start of the year, and then this one might come back in maybe like halfway through the year or something like that. So I'm not quite sure what my plans are for this palette, but I think for the time being and probably the first few months of the year, I want to focus on like some individual highlighters and bronzer product. With all that being said, we're going to weigh this bad boy and see how much he has dropped in weight by. So last month was 176.31 grams and now it is 177.22 grams. And as you guys know, the weight isn't always the best way to keep track of progress on these palettes. The photos are the best, and you will see those photos in a second. Next we have our two eyeshadow palettes, and I've hit pan on extra shades in both of these palettes. I should have actually checked my photos because I don't quite remember which ones I hit pan on. I am the worst at keeping track of my progress month to month. In my Modern Renaissance palette, I've hit pan on a further one shade, which takes me to pan in a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 shades in this palette. So I have more pan in the palette than I do no pan. So the shade that I hit pan on is the color Warm Taupe, this one here. There's the pan right there. So I made a very considerable dip in Realga here. You can see it there, but I didn't quite hit pan. So that might be kind of like a give me shade for some time in the new year. But as you can see, finale, I have pan on all 4 of these shades here. I have pan on Red Ochre, Love Letter, Cypress Umber, and Warm Taupe. Yes. I am so happy. When I open this palette, like, it just puts a smile on my face because I'm like, I'm so happy and glad to see some palettes in my collection starting to actually have some good use on them and some pan. When I open this palette, I'm like, damn girl, you've done some good work on this palette. You've done some really good work on this palette. I would like to see more pans, but I am only 2 shades off hitting pan on all of the matte shades in this palette. So I don't know, you might see this in a project at some point in the new year. I'm not quite sure what the future holds for me when it comes to project panning. We shall see. I'm still trying to finalize and decide what I want to do in the new year, but I did actually find this palette fairly easy to pan. So I might have to, you know, try and roll in some ABH palettes in the new year because I found them fairly easy shadows to hit pan on. All that being said, let's give this bad boy away for the last time for 2020. Last month was 183.88 grams, and now it weighs in at 184.46 grams. So even though I have hit pan on yet another shade, it has still increased in weight. Oh god, that gives me that wigs me out every single time. So last month in this palette, I had hit pan on one shade, and over this past month I have hit pan on another 2 shades, which takes my total in this palette to 3 total pans, which I don't think is too bad considering I think I've had this palette in the project for, I think this was the 4th month. So I don't think that's too bad for 3 pans in 4 months. I think that's a pretty good amount. So last month I hit pan on the color Cream, and this one's really hard to show on camera. There it is right there. And now I've got pan on the color White and this one here, Fawn. So those are the 3 colors there that I have pan on. And once again, I'm super proud of the fact that I have managed to hit pan on another 3 shades in a completely different palette. So I'm starting to see some usage in my palettes, and it's bringing a smile to my face. I really enjoyed this project this year. It was a challenge. Definitely it was a challenge, but I really got through some decent panage. I made some decent panage. I think in total in this project I hit pan on maybe like 10 shades or something. Wait, it would be more than that because there's 8 alone in this palette. So in this project this year I hit pan on 22 shades, which I think is amazing. That's almost half of the total amount that I panned this year across all my projects. So I am really proud of myself. I've done a stellar job. I don't think that I will bring back pan that palette in terms of eyeshadows next year. I definitely think I'm going to participate in the pan those eyeshadows next year in terms of eyeshadow palettes, but you will probably see pan that palette again next year in terms of face palettes. There's a couple of blush palettes that I'd like to work on next year, and there's also, I have like some like contour type products similar to this Kevyn Aucoin palette that I would like to get some use out of next year as well. So you won't see pan that palette next year like you did this year, but you will see it in some form. I forgot to share with you the weightage of the Lorac Mega Pro. This one is always really difficult to weigh because it is bigger than my scale. So last month was 260.19. and now it is 261.51. That's another note. Next year, I don't think I will continue to weigh my palettes to show an update of progress. I think I will just continue to show you guys the month before and the current month photos. I think that will be how I will show you progress rather than weigh, because as you guys have seen throughout the year, weighing the palettes definitely is not a good indicator of progress. If anything, it's a deterrent. It like sets me back in my mind because I'm like, I've got pan, but the weight is increasing. How on earth does that work? So it definitely doesn't encourage me to continue to go when I see the weight increase. So I think next year we will get rid of the weighing aspect of palettes. That is my update. That is my finale. That is my finale on my Pan That palette series. It is hard to believe that I have been doing this project since the start of the year. The Too Faced blush palette, which I finalized last month, I had been working on that palette for 11 months straight, which is insane. Like, I just cannot comprehend that I was working on the same blush palette for 11 months straight. It's insane. And then these other palettes, I've been focusing on them. My ABH palette has been in the project since May. So I've been focusing on this one for 7 months. We've spent some time together, these palettes, over the last year. That is definitely for sure. Let me know down in the comments box how you went with panning any kind of palette products throughout 2020. I would love to know. And if you do want to support my channel or keep up to date on my future content, subscribe while you're down below. You can also join my membership and applaud this video while you're down there. That's it for this video, beautiful. I hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic day. I hope that you are staying safe and healthy and looking after yourself. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, beautiful.